Well, good victory tonight, but what are we really to make of this Rangers team? I mean, it's a complete bamboozlement.
Aye.
You go for losing 1-0 at Kilmarnock to winning 4-0 in the Europa League. Obviously, we're kind of used to that situation now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, no matter how, even it seems to be early years. No matter how like doom and gloom we get our domestic form, when it comes to Europa League, you can never write us off for a result. To be honest, like all this game is for me is nothing but positives, and you kind of look back to the Kilmarnock game and compare it to that, and the Malmo game also gave us a bit of hope to see. Basically, we're starting to see a bit of a performance tonight. We start to see a bit of a performance. We just need to see that like continue into the bread and butter games, the domestic games, and I don't know, as I said during the game, whether there's some sort of, and I've seen a lot of people question this the mentality in our domestic game in terms of we're always playing against teams that are going to sit with that low block, and are the players can the players be asked with that? Are they up for it? Does it take a bit maybe a toll on them coming up against a team like that? And then obviously in the Europa League, when you've got teams who want to kind of commit you, that will give you space, that will let players be a bit more creative. But listen, at the end of the day, we need to see those kind of performances in the league as well. We need to see the likes, especially the younger ones, getting used, and we need to see that. You mentioned Czerny in terms of like hunger. Czerny had a phenomenal game tonight. The finishing all game was absolutely phenomenal, I think. But again, you compare that to the Kilmarnock result, and it was completely night and day, like, in terms of specific players' performances, because Czerny didn't look hungry against Kilmarnock, but the night it looked like he was at a point to prove.
And that's honestly, that's why I find it really, really difficult to, even comment and give my thoughts on Rangers and give my thoughts on the players and analysis, because you could tune into your podcast after the Kilmarnock game, and I would be completely slating every single player in that park, slaughtering them to a man. You could tune in the night, and then I'm like, right, okay, they look like a very decent group of players again, like individually and as a team. They looked a whole lot better tonight. It was, like you say, a lot of positives, but I will pick up on one worrying part of the play tonight was, against a better team, we won't get away with giving the ball away so cheaply. Think about how many times we gave cheap balls away tonight. If there was a phase in the game, I don't know, maybe in the first half for like 15-20 minutes where we continuously giving it away. Now, it's kind of understandable if we were trying to, because at times we say they're not trying enough high risk passes, or at least higher risk passes to try and get forward and really exploit openings. Perhaps it was maybe Clement encouraging a bit more of that tonight, and look, we've certainly seen it, but against a better team, against an Aberdeen, against a Man United, a Tottenham, a Celtic, you won't get away with that.
Well, I think that's the whole frustration with the fans, especially directed towards Clement, because it's like we're playing passing side to side, lob over the top football against teams we should be playing like this against.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? This is a performance we should have seen against Kilmarnock, and then when you move on to your Tottenhams, your Man Uniteds, then you start to see the more cautious defensive kind of look to hit the counter, play the ball at the top, see what happens kind of football, because there's a clear difference in the quality of player. So you're going to have to rely on that kind of defensive counter-attacking football. But if you're coming up against a team like Bucharest, you're coming up against a Kilmarnock, these are the kind of performances you want to see, and you can only hope that Clement, the amount of stick he's took, I know a lot of the support are wanting him out, and I don't really blame them, to be honest.
This buys him time, without a shadow of a doubt. This buys him time. A 4-0 win in the Europa League at home certainly will buy you time, but one thing I want to mention is the fact that we can't just keep expecting us to play well in the Europa League because we say, aye, teams will come out. The pitch will be a bit more open when you're playing against these European opposition. Ultimately, 90% of your games are going to be in the Scottish League. So he needs to find a way to adapt, whether that's you've got a certain group of players or a certain formation or a certain tactical approach to the games when it comes to the domestic games, and you want to switch up a bit for Europe. I don't know, I'm not the manager, but I'll tell you that's the manager's key problem that he needs to solve. Because looking at that team the night, there is actually some talented individuals, and that's me going for Sunday where I'm, saying every one of them are shite, they're gutless, there's nothing to them. But then you come to a night like the night and you're like, I can't wrap my head around it. I feel like a complete hypocrite, but I can simply only say what I'm seeing. Like you say, Cherny, hungry as ever. Lawrence, I mean, untouchable tonight. Dessers, same old for Dessers. Just kind of all round. I mean, Connor Barron, completely outstanding. I mean, so hungry, so aggressive, doing the really hard work off the ball, desperate, to get interceptions, desperate to get stuck into tackles.
Yep.
I mean, I say Barron is the sort of player that we've been crying out for a long time. Do you know that the way he approaches it in the middle of the park, he covers every blade of grass.
Oh, you're not going to knock him for work rate.
And he's a machine.
Aye.
Although he's a kind of weird guy, he's everywhere. And when he plays like that, all you need is him and another couple of players to play exactly like that and approach the games like that, and it sets a standard for the rest of the players in the team, and it raises the standard. But unfortunately, the standard that's been set has been pulling us down by the likes of, well, most of them at times, to be honest. But when we get players stepping up, and they stepped up the night, but they can't only step up, as a sort of reactionary measure for what happened at the weekend. They need to, approach the bread and butter. They need to go and earn the right to play in these domestic games, your bread and butter. They need to go and earn the right. They need to go and earn the other team's respect. They're not just going to show up, dominate games and win games just by showing up. They need to approach every game the way they approached the game the night.
Yep.
And if they do that, maybe there's a chance that we'll compete. I think at least we'll do better than we have been.
I think as well, like we could definitely. I mean, you can't knock like 10 players tonight, well maybe 9. Butland, a couple of good saves with a couple of dodgy, moments. But I think we could have played that game with 10 men, with Dessers after the park, and with a still win 4-0.
Yeah.
To me, like, I just don't understand that you've got players like, Igmani, who seemed alright when he came on, still fans haven't quite made their mind up.
But he comes on for 20-25 minutes,
scores a decent goal.
He's already 10 times more effective than Dessers.
Yep.
So that's, if I'm Cyril Dessers right now, I know he's probably off with an injury to the eye or whatever it is, but if I'm him, I'm really, really worried about my space in the starting 11.
Definitely. 100%.
And whether Igmani is ready to go or no, I think there's got to get to a certain point with Dessers where Clement says, I just can't have you performing like this and be a consistent starter, so I'm going to need to change it. And we can't put up with as fans. We can't have a guy leading the line who can't.
The game dies when it hits
he can't score goals. He can score goals, but too often he goes missing in games and in big games.
Big chances.
He's an enigma, like the team is, in general.
Aye, and on a positive note, again, like I thought the Raskin Barron midfield was a pretty good combination tonight. I think it was, we never short energy in that midfield, and a lot of the time one of the biggest criticisms of that team, especially domestically, is the lack of energy in about there. I don't know if I think it was better performing than the Diamande Baron midfield combination. I liked the Raskin Baron combination more. It was just more pleasing to watch. I feel like we had more control.
I don't know if you remember me saying last week that Diamande would be an exceptional player in a team that that dominates the ball, that's dominant for the first to the last whistle. Whereas, Rangers right now, they aren't that. They need to go out and put in the hard yards, and Barron and Raskin and Lawrence is more suited to that than I would say Diamande is. And I think that was a great decision by Clement. Give him credit where it's due to bring in Raskin and bench Diamande, because Diamande's not been up to it as of late. But to be honest, Raskin's never really took his chance any time he's been gifted a spot in the starting lineup. But tonight was different. He looked ready to go for the get-go. Maybe, who knows, maybe he's just, getting to 100% fitness. He's ready. But something looked different in Raskin tonight, and he actually looked like a decent player, to be honest with you.
Well, then I would go to, I think we're playing St Mirren next, I think.
Aye, St Mirren.
So I would maybe get into the St Mirren game looking to kind of, no necessarily copy and paste, but for me, like, you look forward to the St Mirren game, you'd probably try Raskin and Barn in that midfield. You could obviously, with Lawrence's performance tonight, it's going to be hard to see him starting, but you could also try Diamande in that 10
if he's fit. I think, honestly, we might see Lawrence rested at the weekend, so he's fit for the Aberdeen midweek. Possibly one of them in the 10. I don't know. I think he could honestly play any of the three in the 10. I don't know who he would go with.
Bajrami there, who could slip into 10 as well.
Maybe even see a wee start for Lovelace out in the left, maybe. Who started in the left tonight?
It was what?
It was Bajrami. So Bajrami might slip into the 10.
But the main thing is, like, I know Dessers might not play because of that, if it's a bad injury, because he did look visibly upset.
We could have Dessers out, Lawrence out.
He's got to put
Balogun,
Igmani in. If Dessers is out, you've got to have Igmani there, and you've got to start getting Lovelace minutes. It's got to happen. There's got to be some sort of change in a statement to say, right, these young boys are capable. I trust them. So nobody in this starting lineup, you're talking about Stelling and Casanjaro as well, to say, like, Tav, your position's no longer secured, like Dessers, your position's no longer secured.
And I wouldn't mind, giving Casanjaro, a few starts here and there as well, especially when you're coming up against a team like St Mirren, you know what I mean? And Tav, can have the rest with the Aberdeen game following the St Mirren game after that game tonight, so we've brought these players in and we've got players there who will benefit for minutes, and especially for starting games, because it is different starting a game than it is being brought on as a sub. But another clear thing that I noticed tonight as well that I thought was great direction for Clement, or it's got to be direction for Clement, because it was so obvious that that Tom Lawrence was going by Dessers. Do you know what I mean? And for some reason that was making us much more of a threat up top.
Definitely.
Like you said, when we've been getting to the final third at times,
just breaks down.
There's just been a element of confusion when we get there. But Lawrence going by Dessers, and then we just looked a lot more comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
We looked more comfortable. That's what I'm saying. But
as well.
We looked more comfortable and creative playing the game round about Dessers, like in terms of actually just shifting the equation. That's what most of the attacks came for. And let's be honest, like, I know he's on a big wage, that, and the money we spent on him, but there's got to come a time where you've got to try and put the development of the team before that kind of idea, because at the end of the day, you've got Lovelace there, you've got players like him who are going to be screaming it for minutes, and the fact of the matter is, listen, Good performance, give credit to Clement for what he's done tonight. And a lot of folk were saying, oh, he's was slating Clement last week, and now it's all positive this week, like in out, you know what I mean? But it takes a
But
long...
you got to give him the credit. I mean, he's made
got to give him the credit.
a couple of decisions that have worked well tonight.
Definitely.
He's no just kept it the exact same, so,
Well, the
so you
thing
can't
is-
say that he has.
The thing is now, like, I'm gonna, whether I'm Clement in, Clement out, depends not only on a game by game basis. It depends on, right, we're now seeing a game where, you know, some mistakes have been learned from.
Yeah.
Now what we want to see is, can they carry it on to the St Mirren game? Can they show, right, I made these changes during this game, it worked, so I'm going to apply it to the next game, and the next game, and the next game, and the next game. That's something they should have been doing for the start of the season, when he says like this team's not going to be ready until October, and we've got to October and we've just realised, wait,
There's some things we could be doing different.
Clement seems like he's not ready, and it's
Aye.
October. You know what I mean? Like, the team might be ready. Clement doesn't seem like he's ready at this stage of the season. So now we're looking not only at the players, because at the end of the day, like, the players at times have been gutless this season. They've put in some good performances this season, but overall, like, we need to see the manager and the team both click at the same time. We can't go,
Aye.
oh, this game the players are at fault, this game Clement's at fault, this game players done well, this game
And that's what
Clement done well.
I would say that's what it really looked like tonight. I mean, we've spoke about how the teams looked disjointed, as if there's not a lot of chemistry between them, as if everybody's playing as an individual and they're not playing for the man next to them, the man in front of them, or the man behind them. But, you know, tonight it looked like the team was united. They looked like they enjoyed it.
Aye.
Which is obviously, it's, you know, pretty easy to enjoy
half
when
the
you're
battle.
3-0, 4-0 up.
Aye.
But they earned the right to, you know, play with a smile, enjoy the game. But another thing for me that is definitely concerning, and I would say I don't think I can find any blame to put on Clement for this.
Yep.
People might, you know, argue with me, but these players had a different mentality tonight. They had a different approach to the game. They had a different attitude. There was some tactical changes. There was a personnel change or two, but it was more for me that the players wanted to win the game. They were hungry, and I know, you know, to be a professional football player, to be a Rangers player, you can't just be somebody who's hungry and who wants to win, because every fan was hungry for a win the night. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. There's a switch that needs to be flicked amongst this group, to be hungry to win week in, week out, to not accept defeat, to not accept a draw, to realise that if you're going to stand any sort of chance of winning this league, competing for this league, although we understand that it's unlikely, that we're going to need to be absolutely ruthless week in, week out. Doesn't matter who we play. We're so intent. Domestic games in particular should be to go and absolutely decimate teams, to really be a team that the opposition faces and thinks, I cannot be fucked playing this Rangers team today. They're an absolute nuisance. They're in your face. The way we were the night, the way Lawrence was, the way Cherny was, the way Barn was, just in people's faces constantly. No, you're not getting any time in that ball. You turn, boom, I hit you. If I can't get the ball, I take the man. No, recklessly, wisely, having a bit of intelligence about your play as well. The fouls you make, just the decision making. And look, there was absolutely elements of that there the night. So we can't say that the team doesn't have it. But the question needs to be answered continuously. And that's Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. That's against Kilmarnock. It's against St Mirren. But, you know, for the fans, for the team, and for the fate of what's going to happen at the end of the season, it's against Celtic, it's against Aberdeen.
Yeah. I think as well, you could say, like, even when we go into the buying time in terms of Clement point, like, if he goes out, beats St Mirren and beats what is this season a really good Aberdeen side, I still, you could go and, win the 2 games, and the fans are delighted. You go out the next week and that mentality slips, that performance slips slightly. You get
Oh, we
beat, you
see it.
draw,
We
you're right
see it all
back
the
to square
time.
one. So
Yeah,
that's where again your point of ruthlessness comes
that's
in.
what I mean.
It's got to be, you've got to be on tap it.
It needs to be a well-oiled machine.
Aye, you need to be on tap it every, and we can take right going out in a draw or maybe getting beat if we thought to ourselves watching a game like. We went for it. We played well. Things didn't work out for us. It just wasn't
Of
our day.
course.
Like, but we stuck to a game plan. We had an identity. We were
There is a certain
attack.
way that you're allowed to drop points. You're allowed to lose a game.
Mm.
That way was no what we witnessed at the weekend.
Yeah.
A feeble performance. If you go out, and you give absolutely everything, and it just isn't your day, fair enough. You're not going to win every game throughout the season. Do you know what I mean? But there's definitely, we need a consistent level of mentality amongst this squad. For me, we've seen it tonight, right?
Yeah.
But don't let anybody be fooled here. I ain't getting carried away. No chance.
Look what
man.
happened after the Malmo game when we thought it was a
I
good
know
performance.
I know what this team is capable of in terms of having a performance that's sky high and then dragging you right back down into the pits. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's one thing, one major thing that needs to be corrected. And I think that comes from Clement 100%. But it's only a percentage of Clement.
Mm-hmm.
It comes for the atmosphere and the training throughout the week, but mainly it's each and every individual has to take a fucking look at themselves.
Yep, 100%.
What do they want to be? Do they want to be fucking known as runners up?
Yep.
Do they want to be known as the team that gets steamrolled after biggest rivals? Do they want to be known as the team that can he snatch a victory when they sense blood, aka when the 2 teams above you drop points?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they want to be the team that sort of, just caves in themselves when the pressure's on?
Aye.
Especially, we've seen that in the past as well,
Last season's a perfect example.
You could do well up until the final hurdle and then completely collapse.
Yep.
Well, that's where, obviously, Clement leads that. He's the leader, he guides it, but you can't tell me that a lot of that doesn't come for each individual
100%.
and what they want and the sort of, attitude they bring to it.
Aye, everybody plays a part at the end of the day in a performance. It takes one player to have a good performance to lift the squad. It takes one bad player and a good performance to completely, derail it, basically.
And look at as well, like, just how important it is to have a sort of player like Cherny, man. He's the sort of player that can really, take initiative in a game, take the game by the scruff of the neck, and create chances and finish chances for himself, basically. And that means, how often did we speak throughout the summer, like, we've just been so weak in the left wing and right wing position for so long. Ryan Kent, again, he was a typical inconsistent hot and cold player.
A weak right side, like, you know what I mean? We always struggled with recruiting for that right hand side. But
Ryan Kent, he had it in flashes as well, but we've not had the 2 strong natural wingers that could be consistent, and it shows you the difference, because if you do have a striker that just can't seem to get involved in the game or can't seem to find the back of the net at times, then you look to your wingers, you look to your number 10, and you see the difference it makes in a night like tonight.
Aye, definitely. Well, what we want you to do is we want you to jump into the comments and let us know what you thought about this performance, what you thought about our opinions on the performance. Remember, all the links to our socials are down in the description below, and remember to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and we'll see you next time.